with a plate. The learning goal is that we can relate the teacup to the plate. So first things first is we need to start with the template. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a half circle. So you take your compass and you need it on the largest setting. And I go ahead, and newsprint's really thin, so try not to tear it. And then I'll go ahead and do a smaller one as well, because what happens is we're going to cut out the shape for the slab, and then we're going to create that cylinder shape. We may not need it this big, but that's okay. We're going to cut out for a minute, and we're going to learn how to make slabs. Alright, so I have my template cut out, and I've already made my slab. So then what I go ahead and do, and I trace. You can use any tool to trace, a knife, this tool, whatever works for you. And after I trace it, I can go ahead and take my fettling knife and cut it out. So we know we're going to think about how we are going to relate our teacup to our plate. First we got to get it made. Thickness of your teacup, about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch works well. If you want to know what that looks like, just grab a ruler. Maybe watch what you're doing. That helps. Alright. Now, so this is going to be the base. I'm going to cut off some because I do not need all of it, and then kind of see how we're going to put it together. Now mine got a little bit thick, so I do recommend that yours is thinner than this. Now at this point you can roll in texture.
Jackie McKnight, report to the front door, your ride is here. Jackie McKnight, to the front door, your ride is here.
So when you're thinking about how we want to relate things, you can definitely add textures in if you want to. We've got a bucket full of awesomeness. Now my shape isn't quite right, so then I need to realign it and trim it. Excellent. So notice how it got too big. So all I need to do is trim it up. Unfortunately, I was able to thin it a little bit, so that was nice. So we know one of the learning goals is to add texture, so you can draw patterns into it. You can kind of do what you want. Okay? And now, getting the form. Notice how I need to cut this a little bit differently so it's going to fit together. Now this is a soft slab in construction, so you don't need slip and score unless you think it's not going to stick together. Alright? I'm going to do it so they kind of match up. I'm not going to overlap them because I think it's going to fit together better. If you want to slip and score, you absolutely can. And then I smooth it out. So I can trim it up. So when I'm going to let it set a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of trim this up, and notice how I start to have my teacup. Alright, so now we're going to come back to this. I'm going to work on a plate. Now you can do any plate that you want, but I am going to use this. Now I do recommend using a plastic bag, because what happens is clay loves to stick to things. So if I use a plastic bag, more likely it's not going to stick.
Kiki Nelson, please call Student Services. Kiki Nelson, Student Services.
Alright, so I put that down, and then I go ahead and decide how I'm going to, what kind of slab I'm going to create. I can do it via the rolling pin. I can use the slab roller over here, or I can just pull a slab. And remember, we're thinking about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch for thickness. And while we're making this plate, really think about how it's going to relate to the teacup. So I am going to roll my doily in there. Aw, I kind of like how it's faded. Put my bag down so it's not going to stick. And then trim around. And I might make my plate a little bit thinner as well, but this will work for now. And then notice how my shape isn't quite there, so I'll go ahead and take some time to really get the shape and the form that I want. Push it into the mold. Okay. And then notice how they're starting to relate to each other. Now I need something very important for my teacup. What do I need? I need the handle. So what I like to do is get my clay and roll a coil and get the shape that you want. So you can have it different shapes, but the coils really work better. I like to kind of flatten the edges. So I'm really looking at the relationship. How is the handle relating to the teacup? And how is the teacup relating to the plate? All right, so let's see. So I want you to look and see. Does this work or does it look a little thick? Too thick. So all I do is thin it down. And then slipping and scoring for the handle is important because you want it to stay stuck. And in fact, sometimes I add a little coil around. Add a little coil around. Ooh, still kind of thick. So then I drop it, or I keep rolling, and then I get that handle and I use the slip and score to really get it the shape that I want. So we know the focus of this is to create a teacup and plate, any shapes and forms that you want, but we want the plate and the cup to relate. We also want to experiment with textures. So you can definitely put textures in. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to carve into these and carve into that. Whatever's going to work for you so that the two relate, all right? I challenge you, if this one doesn't quite work, make another set, all right? Well, good luck. Thank you.